Hey guys, if you need raw dog food anywhere in the United States, be sure to visit our friends over at TexasTripe.com.
Who you rooting for? They say whatever team that'll win. I say cool, cause it's gonna be whichever one I'm in. Yeah, I'm good like that. Yeah, I'm good like that. Who you rooting
Welcome to
for? They say
NWA
whatever
Connie
team
Corso's
that'll win. I
podcast,
say cool,
where we talk
cause it's
all
gonna be
things
whichever
dogs.
one I'm in. Yeah, I'm good like that. Yeah, I'm good like that. Telling you that I might never go to sleep, stay up all night, doing just what I like. No more hoping, no, I'm right like this. I don't lie like this. I'm on fire like this. Yeah. Him and her and them over there. They looking over here, they giving me a stare like I care. No. Who you rooting for? They say whatever team that'll win. I say cool, cause it's gonna be whichever one I'm in. Yeah, I'm good like that.
Yes, we are
Yeah,
back.
I'm good like
We're
that.
back. Welcome back, everybody.
Starting on my way, but
I'm your
don't care
host,
what you say,
Joe,
'cause really either
NWA Connie
way,
Corso.
I'ma do it like that.
I'm one of the guys, one of the few channels where the host ain't the expert. That ain't no knock. It's just kind of what we the style of content we do over here. We go get knowledgeable men and women from all over the doggone world. So, are y'all ready for the man? Are y'all ready for the man? Schoolboy, what's happening?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty
Welcome,
good, sir.
welcome everybody to the chat, and thanks for having me on again, Joe. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I was just telling you, it's been a little while.
Yeah, been a while. We've been busy,
Yeah, I've been very
family
busy.
and the dog stuff, like
Yeah,
always,
yeah. You gotta let real life be kicking butt. So
Yeah,
I've been I try to stay out in their face though. I got my editors. They be sending stuff out daily, so I might not have made a
that's
show
good.
in a week or two, but I just try to,
Yeah,
YouTube. She one of if you ain't Schoolboy, YouTube. She one of them people. What have you done for me lately? When that Schoolboy
yeah,
get on the
yeah,
channel, everybody listening. Everybody gonna stop by. My
yeah,
little self, I got to stay out in the front.
yeah. You got
Yeah,
over time, it'll improve, and then they'll be watching you like they do me, man. That's the way it
yeah.
starts.
But for sure,
But I do that too. I put little tidbits here and there, just little videos. If I don't, if I go a day or two without posting something, I'll put
yeah,
something together, or School Baby put something together real quick, some pictures or something.
right, yeah. It saves you a lot of time. It saves you a lot
Yeah,
of
it
time
does.
when you can throw some clips up and just keep it
Yeah,
looking busy and everything. Well,
yeah,
everybody, we
yeah.
got we got Schoolboy back up in the house. I just want to say I really appreciate him. He's been one of the guys that's been significant to help and build this channel. Like I say, we're a small channel. You got big channels like The Voice. They like, them big shows, but over here it's kind of like the Apollo, where we like the Apollo Theater where we pack in and with our
Yeah,
peers and do the dang on thing. So yes,
it's
sir.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a 2,000 seat venue
yeah,
instead of a 50,000 seat venue. Yeah.
yeah. And then a lot of people know each other in the real world and actually doing
Yeah.
business with each other in the real world. So it's something very special. I appreciate it, man. I really do. Quality people and things like that. We ain't got a bunch of riffraff going on over here. So it's a
There
great
you go.
thing. Well, man, we here for the book. And here's the book. Let me show it to y'all. But don't get tangled up here. How to breed the APBT. Hey, brother. Yeah,
I got
so
family running in and out all the time, man.
oh yeah, I
But
got
yeah,
two kids in there in the shower. I'm trying to watch them too. Make sure they doing what
okay.
they supposed to. Yeah, they mama
Hey, man.
out there
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
There you
So
go.
yeah, salute
Yeah,
everybody.
that Yeah, I did. I just shortened it. That's the shortened version of the name. American Pit Bull Terrier, ABPT.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
uh, I just used that.
Right, right. So let me ask you this: what was the inspiration for this book?
Well, like all my books, Joe. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but they're years in the making. So I have all this information, all these notes, all these structures for different topics, and I decided many years ago to put them together in a book. And as it turns out, there was so much information that I just split them up into several books. So it
Okay.
just started with the Big Red Handbook and moved on to there, and it's just part of the growing. Uh, I don't know what you would call it, but part of all this information that I've had for years and years, and it's ongoing as well, that I put together in book form. And the inspiration was to get the information out there just as part of the history of the breed.
Right.
The responses and support's always good because there isn't and I encourage other people, get out there and write a book and do something just so it's
Right.
preserved. Now, if you want to do something on, put it in a thumbnail or, something like, you can do that too. I guess DVDs are out of the question now, or out of the
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
but a book is forever and always, and it's something you can hold in your hand, and there's the technology is always going to be changing, but writing books like that don't really change. You can have PDF files and you can have, but it's just something solid. It's kind of like a vehicle. The cars are going to change. Maybe you have electric, gas, diesel, whatever it is, but the
Right.
car is a car.
Yeah.
Same thing with literature.
Yeah. Yeah. You got those what do you call those audio books now? And you got those audible books. We probably need to get it
Right.
on Audible. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it could.
But
I'm just, I'm not technically sound,
right.
and I'm lazy, and I just have a lot going on too, which I
I
always
feel you.
do, always have.
But back to what you were saying about them books though. What's cool about stuff that's been around so long, some people don't forget, because guess what? I got a vinyl collection right there in the next room. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And it's
like
just something
that.
special about that sound, man.
It's
And the
it's a
book,
raw sound with all the scratching and the noise and there ain't nothing like it. Like sometimes when they clean up the music, I really don't like it because I remember the way it was originally recorded.
right,
I mean, it sounds
right,
good, but that's not the original recording. You know,
right, right,
so I love them vinyl records, man. And
right.
and with books, they're written. It's the author's thoughts and the author's whatever topic he's writing about, or whatever the story is, whether it's fiction, nonfiction. It's coming
Right.
from his heart and his mind and his soul, and it's
That's
just
right.
all that put down on paper.
That's what it is. And something about books too, man. You can just you can just go back, study. You can underline things, go back to it. You might get something else the next time. And because
Yeah,
reading this book, I told you, you said, Joe, what do you really think about the book? I said, Schoolboy, I really enjoyed this book because it was just spots in it that made me smile. I said, this dude's showing out, dropping some gems that you probably never heard, because it's just like you really went into it. And it, man, Schoolboy, it's a good book, brother.
yeah.
It's a
Thank you,
good book.
brother. Thank you.
And a lot of times we talk about you know, the simplicity. It's an easy read.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a very easy read, and it's because on my show we do some some shows on the scientific side of breeding, and a lot of people are like, whoo, I can't follow that. But
Yeah,
sometimes if you break it down and make it simple, people
they
they
can
get it.
understand that. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
And you hit it right on the head, Joe. That's what it's about. It's sometimes it's even repetitive, because I just want to hammer home the to keep that thought always in people's mind, whatever it is I'm talking about.
Right.
And to break it down simply, is it so anybody reading it can understand it,
That's right.
and anybody following it gets what I'm talking about.
Right.
And when you put it in book form like that, you can put more information. Whereas if you're on a show, or even if you do a long series, you're talking, but the videos get put in the background and people don't watch them all the time. And I get hit up all the time. What video was that where you said this and that? Well, shit, I don't remember,
Yeah.
And in my mind, if you have it in a book, you can just mark it and then you reference it. And like you said,
Right.
you can use a yellow marker. Like in my I always have an author's copy, right? And I sign everything. I even sign and keep the first, second, third drafts, however many I'm doing, right? And there's always side notes on it and check marks and changing spelling errors, all this stuff, right? And the reason I do that is so that I can go back when I've completed everything and I figure, hey, this is about as good as I can get, and I can go back to the notes and make sure I didn't miss anything,
Right. Right.
And that's part of history too, having the first draft, second draft, handwritten and then typed out, mistakes, all that stuff in it, and then the end part. There's always mistakes, I'm sure there's in this book. There's some I haven't really. I went over it as good as I could. I edited as well as I could,
Yeah.
And there's some errors. There's errors in every book. I learned that too.
Yeah. You're gonna miss something. All those words, but something you said at the top of the show is how you write things down. And I think a lot of dog men don't realize the importance of writing, taking notes. About everything,
Yep.
It's a help.
Yep.
It's a help. Like I think one show we was talking about, like how I'll take pictures of when my dog's bred, and I'll mark them down on this date, and just note taking is so important.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah. And that came from a few different things. I have tons of pictures, and some were sent to me. Some are the pictures I took. And because I didn't write on the back of the picture what dog it is, it's unknown. And I'm talking hundreds of them like that, because you just can't remember over time. And the same thing with any information, you'll forget it over time. And so I got to the point, and this is like maybe 35, 38 years ago, 40 years ago, maybe, where I said, I better start writing everything down. I better start marking all these pictures and just anything I can think of. So if I'm at a restaurant and I'm writing on a napkin, I save that napkin and then I'll file it. If I writing on a piece of paper, scratch paper, I'll tell Angie, hand me a paper real quick and a note or something, that I don't want to forget. I'll do that. Right. So I have tons of stuff. But if you don't do that, you're going to forget. And just like when you're writing a book, or when I'm writing a book, it's important just to write whatever comes to your mind, and then you can fix it up in a certain format later. Right? And then when you're getting ready to write, you have your chapters, your topics, and you have liner notes and all this stuff of how you want to put it together. It helps a lot. Anybody can write a book. I'm not a writer, but I write books because I'm not formally trained. But it's like I said, it's if we're sitting around talking, almost anybody can understand what we're talking about, even if you use some technical terms, like that. But I'm not a geneticist, I'm not a linguist, I'm not none of that. But I'm not stupid either.
Right.
And hopefully I put it in a way where anybody can understand it and get something out of it. They may not follow the whole thing. They may not follow most of it. They may get one or two things out of it.
Right.
But for me, if I learn something and even if it's one thing out of a book or a few things out of a book, then to me it's worth it, because it expanded my horizons and maybe showed me something that I hadn't thought of before.
Right. And if you gotta, if guys, if y'all need to listen to something on the go, like at the top of the show, I was telling how I did so many shows with Schoolboy at the beginning, and one of the most viewed show is a show with me and him, and it's on this topic: line breeding, inbreeding, and outcrossing, things like that. That's one. That's the most watched show that I've ever had. I think as soon as you pull up this page, you should see it on the front. And the second most watched show was involving Schoolboy and Bobby Fairchild. And I was like, because you could go look at your stats and things like that. I said, why is this video just always churning? It might catch yours. It might catch yours one day. But I
Yeah.
kind of thought about afterward what actually happened there. I don't think it's ever been a game dog guy of Schoolboy's popularity and a Gamecock guy that has ever sit down on a video together. I hadn't saw it, so maybe that's what the magic was.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. There's something to
Yeah.
that because I'm like you. I haven't seen it together. Now there's dogmen that are involved with Gamecocks,
Yeah.
but they don't usually mix the two. Even when they might mention something, or
Uh-huh.
somebody might ask him a question, like they did Floyd Boudreaux. They asked him, do you think there's a difference between gameness in a game file and gameness in the game dog? And he said, no, it's the same. So in that respect, they might, but put it together like that, where
Yeah. And especially with
conversation,
you guys,
it don't
and with
happen.
you guys' popularity, I don't think that's ever happened. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because he's big
Yeah.
time as well. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
then
get into the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and that when it comes to the topics about the pit bull breeding is generally the number one topic that people like to talk about and hear and learn from, because it's something that almost anybody can do. Now, breeding dogs, I don't mean that you can become a good breeder or that you know how to breed or anything like that, but anybody can breed dogs, and you can learn as you go. You can become expert at it. Whereas conditioning might be different, handling might be different. The legal sports, hunting and all that might be out of your range or something like that. But the breeding side of it, almost anybody can do it. And I think that's what piques people's interest. And that's what they want to hear the most about.
That's right. They do. You said something earlier about gameness, and I know you done answered this question many a times. And I know it means different things to different people. But I hear people like say things about how gameness is applied to certain animals, and certain animals just don't have it. Can any dog have gameness? I mean, what does gameness mean to you? Because when I think about gameness, it just means something like I'm willing to do the shit. I'm game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What does it
Yeah.
mean to you?
That's generally the term, and it's used in all kinds of different scenarios or different aspects, in different animals, even in humans. If you watch some of the old boxing matches back in the day, 70s, that they use the term, they're dead game.
Yeah.
He's a gamer. That guy is game. These two fighters are dead game. They actually use them term.
Right.
So it's gameness. Should it be applied to the function or the work that the individual is doing?
Right.
So, for example, a racehorse is game in that he won't quit. He'll run till his lungs burst or his heart pops or his legs break and he's still running.
Right.
Right. But as far as what pit bulls did in the past, that's a different aspect. The fighting is a different aspect. Just like even dogs that you hunt with, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might not be, even a pit bull. He may not be good in the box in the past, but he could be a good hunter, because that's part of a canine, is to be that prey drive and hunting instinct like that.
Right.
So it's just it should be applied to the individual species and the function, the work, or the sport that they're doing. And in that respect, you got to respect each individual for what they do. You know, you can't compare the two in. Well, he hunts hogs. He should be a good fighting dog. No, he's a good fighting dog. He should be able to hunt hogs. No, not really. A lot of pit bulls ain't worth a crap at it. You know, they're not. It's just a different thing. But gameness is understood, just like you said. It's basically they don't quit. So my interpretation is a little bit different, and I learned this from an older guy. You know, and it was basically the will to finish an opponent regardless of the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if you're ahead, behind, rattled, shaken, hurt, on top, on the bottom, whatever. I don't care what the circumstances are. What should be in my dog's thought is forever and always trying to finish the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
That's my interpretation of it. People will argue and this and that because most of the time people, when they think of gameness, it's when you're hurt or you're tired or something like that. Right. Which that's true, but that's not all there is to it.
Right. Gotcha. So let's get off into this book, brother.
Yeah.
Pull something here. Let me pull that down. Hey guys, up at the top of the comments, you're gonna see this right here. If you want to order the book, How to Breed the American Pit Bull Terrier, there's Schoolboy's PayPal. This comment is pinned at the top of the chat. It'll be in the description. All this information is right there. The Cash App, all that. How to get in touch with them. All that's right there. So if y'all want to order this book, it's a solid book. It's a nice put together book, man. It's nice. But so here, let me blow this up, boy, for these old eyes. So here are some of the chapters. I mean, it's some hell of a chapters too, bro. Look at this. Standards of breeding. Standards of individuals use. And I took notes out of something because out of chapter 2, standards of individuals use, you said something, and it's on page 9 when you guys order that book. You said, I kept speed and strength and intensity in my dogs as a default standard. They had to get mad. In Spanish, coraje, I think it said. To be
coraje, yeah.
Coraje, okay.
Yeah.
To be
coraje, yeah.
Coraje, okay. Yeah. J is like H, yeah.
Right.
To be considered fully turned on. Gameness was first and foremost, but a game dog must have finish, good air, a good mouth, and an offensive mentality with the intelligence to know when and how to execute what he wants to accomplish. This what kind of stuff he got in this book, y'all.
Yeah, kind of profound. Yeah. It's there's a lot to it, you know. And I'll be the first to say, not every dog and not every good dog or every champion or grand champion in the past has those qualities at a high standard. But if you can have most of your dogs that have what you consider the standards for a good individual, have them at an above average level and inclusive, then your dogs, most of the dogs, when you breed them, if they have that, they're going to pass that on.
Right.
So as you continue with your program, you're going to have more and more dogs that have these attributes.
Right.
And speed and strength was a big deal. Gameness should be a given. It shouldn't even be, but I repeat it over and over again because even in my time and before my time, it wasn't important to some people.
Right.
Yeah. And because it wasn't important to some people, they lost a lot of the other qualities.
Right.
Because what I believe, what the dogs have shown me, is a lot of these physical traits that the dogs possess is directly related to their gameness.
Right. So some of this stuff that you said can be applied to a lot of dogs, I think, especially when you're talking about traits. For instance,
Yeah.
on page 11, you said he has a section in there. I ain't gonna give too much of the book away, but it's just certain stuff.
No,
that
that's
stuck
okay.
with me.
Yeah.
It says winners. Competition was the mainstay of the breed. Without it, there was no breed, which is why having and producing winners was so important to me in the past. It's used to measure the quality of an individual and the quality of a family of dogs. Winners and producers. I found that most successful breeders base their dogs on them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
It's competition it's like the heart and soul of any breed.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons that these standards or these things that I talk about, they can be used across the board with different species of animals, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, depending on what you're doing.
Because
yeah.
as I found out in conversing with a lot of different dog men, game fowl men, even some horse racing people, and reading books and different things, there's a lot of commonality between all of us, right?
Mhm.
And when it comes to breeding, the difference between me and a lot of other people that agree or did a lot of the things that I did is I put it down on paper. They haven't. There's tons of people out there that do and did and have the same ways of thinking when it comes to their animals that I did, but they didn't write it down. So
Right.
once they're gone, it's lost. I wanted to make sure it wasn't lost. And I mentioned the people that I give homage to in the book, right? But that the competition is that's where you prove what it is that you put together, what it is that you produced.
Right.
And without competition, it's just, I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
You gotta
not
have it.
it's not
You gotta
real.
have the message
Yeah.
stick. Yeah.
It-
I don't care what it
Yeah.
is. If you showing dogs, you got to have competition. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have it out there. Even like you mentioned, a show dog, even showing your dog, even legal sport,
Yeah.
right? Because it's kind of like they started changing things a little bit with kids in school where they just they give everybody a trophy, or they don't how they did with the little kids, like I forget what that game is where they hit the ball and all that. There's no winners and no losers, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. They
Yeah,
did
it's
they
not
did start doing those kids years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I never could get. They don't want to hurt people's feelings or kids' feelings or
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
You live in California. Yeah, they always doing some weird shit.
They're always doing some weird shit out here. You're right. So it came to somebody. I asked. I forget who it was. I forget if it was a coach or teacher, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have no winners and losers. No.
Right.
He goes, it doesn't matter. Who wins and who loses. I said, well, if it doesn't matter who wins or who loses, why do we keep score?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you keep score if it doesn't
Right.
matter? Of course it matters,
Yeah.
right? So competition, even in the breed in the past, what I used to do with them, that's the only way to prove them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way to do it. And not every individual that you breed is going to be a competitor, but most of them should.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them should, because those are the ones that are the most proven, and alongside that, those are the ones that will produce the best for you. Now, I get that argument all the time. You've probably heard it yourself, where they'll even say gameness don't matter, winning, losing don't matter. If an animal can produce, it can produce. That ain't true.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody's way of either trying to project that they understand genetics better than someone else, or they're using a one-sided version of what they've been told or what they read without studying the history of the breed or the history of any breed, because the facts don't show that. They just don't.
Right. So I'm gonna skip to something else, but chapter 3 was inbreeding, line breeding, outcrossing, scatter breeding. Basically, we all know what this is. Mixed breeding. That was at chapter 5. I'm gonna read an expert out of that I thought was interesting. You said here, Man, I'm talking about Schoolboy putting it down in this book, man. I'm telling you, I was reading this book, I was just like, dang, Schoolboy, go ahead and do it to it now. But
Yeah.
it says here, it is almost inevitable that anyone who owns a male or a female dog from different breeds of dogs will breed them together. It's no different than people that own pit bulls. There are pit bulls crossed with hounds, toy breeds, shepherds, terriers, etc. But most of these breedings are made without form or function in mind and are done to fulfill some fantasy or just because they have two dogs available and want to quote, see what happens. I'm not averse to mixing breeds if there is a purpose in doing so and an expected outcome. I thought that was some real shit to say.
Yeah.
And I know something too. I know like it's a big band dog movement. Mixed breeds is in, and they dogs always been getting mixed for different purposes. But and I hear this statement a lot. I hear guys that use dogs that let's say they use a master. When they create their dog, okay, they got their dog, the master ain't shit. They might have used a dogo in it. Once they create their dog, the dogo ain't shit. But I ain't never heard them say about the pit bull.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, all pure breeds come from mixing breeds. That's how you make
That's
a
right.
particular type of dog, you know.
Right.
So but it's just that, you know, for me, if you're gonna mix breeds together, well, why are you doing it? That would be my first question. What are you doing that for?
Right.
And I've asked that different people, laymen and professionals. A lot of times that's what they say. I want to see, you know, I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's where you get these cockadoodles and you know that's on the that that's on a different extreme. But when you're doing it with working and sporting dogs, what are you doing it for?
That's right. That's
Right?
right. Yeah.
And
So
even horses, you know, they've done that with horses. That's how you make quarter horses. That's how you make thoroughbreds. That's how you make trotters and walkers and all this, right? You have to mix these different breeds together to get what you want.
mm-hmm.
And I just don't see how you can improve a pit bull by mixing different breeds with it,
You know what
right?
you know the thing, yeah, I'm gonna do a show on it because we're gonna talk a little bit more about pure breeds. I know that you know all dogs come from mixing and everything, but
Right.
then you have a type of dog that comes out of it. So I don't want
Yeah.
to get it like
Once you establish a breed, you
right.
have to figure out a way how to keep that particular
Yeah,
breed going.
right.
So you
Right.
need a
Because
lot of
right.
different individuals.
Because one thing that I'm gonna start talking more about on the show is the mind of a dog. So what kind of
Right.
worries me when you have a lot of mixing of the breeds is the temperament. You know, a
Right.
bad temperament dog can tear the face off a child. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's something we probably gonna start diving into, just so
Yeah.
we can
Well,
start.
I use the, you know, that's been a concern of mine. I've used this simple analogy before. You breed a pit bull with a uh um what's a what's those dogs that go after ducks?
Weimaraner or
No.
uh,
Like I had it at the
like
tip of my tongue.
a bird dog
Let's say a golden retriever, right?
retriever. Okay. Yeah.
Let's say you mix a pit bull and a golden retriever. The result, the outcome, individuals, they don't know if they're supposed to fight or if they're supposed to chase birds.
Right.
And that's what happens. And that's just a simple analogy, but that's what happens when you mix these breeds without really understanding the temperament and behavior of each individual one.
Yeah. You got to
Because
know. Yeah.
if you're going to do that, you know, there's probably better choices in some respects than other choices. And people don't think that way. They don't say,
Mhm.
well, I'm going to put this, like you said, a doggo with a mastiff because they both carry these certain traits or they both have these certain temperaments and behaviors or structure or whatever it is. And I'm trying to improve on both of them and get a better individual,
Right.
you know, when I put those two breeds together. They just
Right.
throw shit together and see what happens. And, you know,
Yeah.
it could be a disaster.
Right.
And it could turn a relatively non-aggressive human aggressive dog into a human aggressive dog if you're not careful.
Right. Yeah. You got to keep that in mind. I had read an article of a person that was talking about the Corso, and she said for her to really understand the Corso, she had to study 7 different breeds. Is that
Mm.
7? Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the dogs that make, the dogs that will put in to make it up and all that
Right.
stuff. So yeah,
Right.
you got to be thinking about that temper, the mind of the dog and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Right.
Let me
And
say
see, if
something.
you look up, if you just look up, how long does it take to create a purebred canine?
Mhm.
It'll tell you 3 generations, right? In the real world, if you go and look up, I forget the guy's name, but he's a Russian breeder, and he made bomb and drug sniffing dogs, right?
Yeah.
It took him
Long time.
25 years, right, to
Yeah.
create this breed where he
Mhm.
thought it was good enough, and they never missed sniffing a bomb out, never missed sniffing drug, this and that. In his mind, he still had 15 years to go before he perfected.
Right.
So it would have been a total of 40 years. So that's how
Right.
long it takes, right? It's not just those 3 generations. You can create a purebred canine within 3 or 4 generations, but to have it what you want it to be
Yeah, to
takes a
tweak
lot
it.
longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah, to tweak it.
Just
Yeah.
like to create your own family of pit bulls, right?
Mhm.
It's people. In fact, somebody asked me today, how long is it going to take, or yesterday, or so. Anyways, I give them the standard. Depends, how many individuals you have and this and that. But I tell them, but you're looking at the very least, you're looking at 10 years,
Right.
and you need 4 or 5 generations of your own dogs.
Right.
A long time. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, a lot of tweaking, a lot of, a lot of genes and different things you playing with, DNA, a lot of things going
Yep.
on. So
Yep.
as we go down, I want to go down to chapter 14, producing athletes. And this kind of what we're talking about, because when you get into the mixing dogs, the number one reason you hear about is hybrid vigor. And then I have some guys that I know who more into the line breeding. They say, man, you can produce athletes through the line breeding. So I want to read something. I want to see your thoughts on it. Well, I'm gonna read some of your thoughts on this.
Okay.
This is page 50 of chapter 14, producing athletes. Here the most honorable schoolboy says, line breeding, family breeding. You can also produce athletes through line breeding, and more so with loose line breeding, because it involves having more crosses in it, along with more distant relatives in a pedigree than does tight line breeding. If you're keen on an individual, then most of the breeding made to that individual will be crossed or have crosses in them. And the same goes with family breeding, in that your breeding will be from half brother, half sister, or from cousins, or aunt to nephew, uncle to niece, or even grandchildren to grandparents. But the key to it is that certain individuals are related, and those related, and those related individuals were bred to dogs they wasn't related to. In the first breedings you made with them, the line breeding doesn't kick in until you breed the offspring from them together. I'm telling you guys, schoolboy here in here cooking, man. I'm telling you, that's why I'm bringing y'all experts from it, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
If you notice throughout the book, I'll mention, I put vigor in there a lot. I always talk about, health, youth, vigor, like that, right? So you have hybrid vigor, which that comes from outcrossing, right? Two unrelated individuals produces hybrid vigor because they're not related, right? But vigor should always be in your dogs, and you can have athletes and performers and top shelf dogs through line breeding. That's been proven too, right? And if you key on a certain individual and they're in the pedigree in certain spots, right? That individual's blood is you're gonna retain it for almost forever.
Right.
Because you're gonna eventually breed to his sons and daughters and grandchildren, this and that. So his influence is always going to be in your family of dogs. For example, I mentioned my blood has been around, and it's in Mexico. It's not here in California, but my protege had it in Mexico. Been around for 40 years. A lot of the dogs still look and perform and have temperament and behavior that my dogs did 40 years ago. Not all of them, but a lot of them still do.
Right.
And that's because those traits are concentrated, they're passed on, they're not lost, and they're always there. Even something as simple as bat ears. He still gets bat-eared dogs because I had bat-eared dogs. Mm-hmm. Even though some of them are outcross, he'd throw outcrosses in there every once. Mm-hmm. Right? But almost every dog, after so many generations, almost every dog on your yard is going to be related to every other dog on your yard. The only ones that are not going to be related is if you get something that's an outcross and you bring it into your yard. You go buy a male or female or something, or you borrow it or whatever. But other than that, your dog that you own on your yard, whether it's 5 dogs or 50 or 100 or 200 dogs, are all going to be related to some extent. Some closer, some looser, some inbred, some line bred, loose and tight, but they're all going to be related. Right. When you get to that point, then the individuals you want to breed to, it's just your choice because they're all going to produce for you. It just depends on which ones you like better, which ones you consider a better producer, which ones you like this trait better or that trait or this structure or that structure. Right. But you can basically go out into your yard and whatever one you pick, male or female, is going to throw some. Almost every one. You have to get to that point. And I'll say the reason for that is because you're going to lose individuals along the way. They're going to die from disease. They're going to die from accidents. They're going to die from a mishap, something. So you have to have some kind of backup. If this one dies, well, it's sad, but I have his brother. So I haven't lost anything. I have his sister. I have his cousin. I have his half brother. I have his aunt, uncle. I still have his daddy. I got his grandpa. That's the point you have to get to. And I think that's the mainstay of the book is create your own family of dogs. And then you keep it going through all these standards and all this stuff that I put in there. Right. It really worked. And like I said, that is not just me, not just my way. I didn't invent none of this. I just capitalized on it. Right. Man. Yeah. And the other thing is you got to prove it to you. I can't just write a book and go, oh, this is what I think. And it has to be from proven stuff. It's got to be from proven stuff.
Right. And guys, I'm going to say something about the Corso dog. If, we got a lot of social media stuff, man, and all that, man, but to really know how to breed that dog, and it's certain lines you don't need to put together. It's some danger up in some of those Corso lines. You really need to get with somebody offline to discuss with you about the lines and different things. A lot of people don't know because a lot of people don't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? That's everybody want to teach, but everybody don't want to listen. You know what I mean? So that's just my advice. Yeah, this is my advice. Because we talk about pedigrees and stuff, and if they're true, but certain men have seen some of these lines and can tell you the negatives and the positives about them. They've been around these lines a long time, and I really suggest if you breeding that Corso, you better get you somebody that know those lines. But anyway, moving along. Schoolboy got everything in this book. Chapter 13, he got. Wait a minute. Look, let's go to number 8. Physical build. Chapter 9 is a hell of a chapter. Importance of bone muscle, teeth. He talking about how the skin got to be tough and inbreeding. Then now I love these subjects, chapter 10 and 11, because it's one thing about you can know things, but knowing when to do things is important in dogs, like outcrossing, then inbreeding. Schoolboy got it all up in this joint, man. All of it. Yeah. Schoolboy, let me ask you, what was your favorite chapters to write? What was the most enjoyable points of this book to you?
I think probably the standards,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how it all starts out.
Right.
What you got to have. I think I put it in the beginning, maybe the first chapter. You got to have in your mind's eye what type of individuals. What do you want your dogs to look like? How do you want them to perform? What kind of temperament you want them to have? What kind of
Right.
behavior? What kind of intelligence? And toughness and all that's throughout the book, the teeth, the bone, the muscle, the skin, the clarity in their eyes, even color, if you want to concentrate on particular colors,
Right.
uh, y- people don't really think about that, they just accept the dog for the way it is, and which is okay, but the dogs are a reflection of you.
That's right.
So they represent your what you consider to be, in my case, a schoolboy dog. And in the past, people would come to my yard and they go, "Man, Richard, all your dogs look the same."
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were outcrossed. But when you have a gene pool that's so concentrated, and the traits they have, the behaviors and all this color and structure and all this stuff is so concentrated on several individuals, even when you outcross, those traits are going to come through.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes it even better is if you outcross to an individual that has the same traits that your family of dog has, you have a better chance of capturing it.
Right.
So naturally, they may look the same and perform the same, and even be the same color, but it's just a lot easier to outcross to something that's similar to what you have than it is totally something that's totally different. Now, if you're lacking something, that's where you outcross to something that's different, because you need to add something to your program. But again, not to be facetious or sound like I know everything. You shouldn't be losing stuff when you breed.
Right.
Once you have it, it should never be lost.
That boy, you drop some gold. You drop some gold in. You don't outcross just to be outcrossing. You looking for similarities in that outcross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Because that's what you like, right? That's
right.
what you like. And you can even breed something that has similar traits as your family does, and it has something extra in it too. And that might benefit your dogs, or it might show up in the resultant offspring or progeny after that, or not. But as long as it's positive, I don't see anything wrong with it. And you can actually change your dogs and improve on them. If you find these individuals that have something that will improve your stock without losing the good stuff that your stock has in it.
Right. Let me ask you, hey y'all, I told y'all at the beginning, we like the Apollo Theater. It's a small house, but we pack it out. Look at, man, there's 40 people in here. Sometimes it'd be up to 75 people in this on this small little channel checking it out.
How many's in there now?
It's bouncing back from like 40 to 42 people.
Oh,
cool.
Last
live I did, I got up to like 75 people up in this joint. Yeah.
Nice.
Let me ask you this, and then before we move on, guys, if you want to talk to Schoolboy, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat right now. Y'all come in, ask some questions. We can have a good old time. But Schoolboy, I was reading somewhere in there too. I think you were saying something about I forgot to write it down. But what do you like to see before you outcross? How pure do you want both sides to be when you make the outcross, when you make them meet?
Well, honestly, um, it wasn't so much the bloodline or the pedigree; it's the individual.
The individual. Okay.
Now, of course, I'm gonna know the pedigree of the dog, right? And I like to see, like I said, an individual that has same traits as mine. I'll use Brock's Champion Ninja as an example. I saw him win his championship, so I saw his style. I knew how he was bred, and his blood. You know, he was half Jeep and half Rascal, so it would have clicked with my stuff anyway.
Right.
Right. So that was kind of a line breeding, but the Rascal stuff was the outcross part. Champion Knucklehead would be another one, right? He had some of the same blood as I had, and but something totally different also. So he had outcross in him. The Omen blood was straight Rascal and a different type of Rascal, and it was a total outcross from my stuff. But they all shared similar traits in their style, in their structure for the most part, and the positives that all of them had, they were similar.
Right.
So I always advise people, you know, if you're going to outcross, or you're looking to outcross, or you're thinking to outcross, and the opportunity presents itself, just do it. Don't wait till you lose something. Don't wait till you think about it. Don't wait till you know you want to add this, or you think it's the right time. Or some people go, you know, I do 3 inbreedings and then out, you know, or 2 inbreedings and out, or I line breed for 2 or 3 generations, then I throw a cross in there. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way, but my thing was, if I saw something that was a cross and I liked it, I'm gonna breed to it. I ain't gonna wait.
Right.
Because there's nothing that tells you that this way is the better way to do it.
Yeah.
Or the best way to do it. The only thing that shows you the which breedings work or which were the better ones were the results of after you make the breeding.
Gotcha.
That's the only way to find out, you know.
Right. Hey guys,
So if you want to outcross, don't wait. Do it. Just do it. See what happens. Right.
That's what's up. Yeah.
That's it.
Hey guys, if y'all don't mind, hit the like button and share the video if you can, on your Facebooks, on your Instagrams, wherever. Let them know we in here. One thing I wanted to talk about too, in the back of this book, Schoolboy has a bunch of pedigrees, like on Maloney's Davis. He got, I don't know if you can see that, Fort Knox Booger, and all. He got a whole bunch of pedigrees. And another thing is, hold on a minute. Hey brother, hold on 1 second. Let me finish this, and then I'm gonna let you chat it up.
Absolutely.
How much is this book, Schoolboy?
$85 in the US.
Okay, $85. All right. And
outside the US, it's $100.
$100. Okay. Guys, up on the screen is Mr. Schoolboy's PayPal, Cash App. If you can't buy the book right now, send a donation. This is what he does. He helps everybody. He's big over in the APBT community, but he comes over here and hollers at us too. So ain't no nation like a donation. So hit it up. Cash out. Schoolboy, let me know if your phone over there. Ping, ping. We want to make it. Ping,
Okay.
ping, ping.
All right. Yeah, if I get a notification, I'll let you know. Yeah. You know, the reason for the pedigrees was just, you know, I first wrote what I wrote and give all these explanations and all these factors involved with breeding, all different kinds of breeding, standard, build, all this stuff.
Right.
So I added the pedigrees at the end to kind of show you, because a lot of people don't know how to read pedigrees. It's just ways that these dogs that were well known and produced, and some not so well known, but from different bloodlines, how their pedigrees are put together. It's kind of how to read a pedigree. and why they did what they did and how they're related or how they're not related and what traits they had. Just a short kind of look into all these famous dogs or these pedigrees with famous dogs in them and why they produced, how they were put together, and what was the result.
Right. All 10 bullies. Unmute yourself, sir.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good. How y'all fellas doing?
Good. I've been seeing you in
Doing
the world
good.
premiere for a while.
Oh yeah. I salute to the panel. 'Cause I watch y'all all the time. I've been following Schoolboy for a couple years now. Game Dog Talk, all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
78 now. Yeah.
but man, my first question, it comes actually it's for both of y'all. Where do you guys think motherly instincts stand when it comes to the dogs in general? Because I'm in the American Bully field and in the American Bully community, and a lot of people put emphasis on grand champions, standards, things like that. And it's like, okay, what if you have a amazing dog, whether it's a working dog or a show dog, but when it comes to whelping or just being a mother, her motherly instincts are gone, completely shot. And I ask that because to me, you have no motherly instincts, you have to go.
That's the same. I said I agree. I want you.
Yeah, I cover that in my book, and it's good. I'm glad you brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have good motherly instincts, I wouldn't keep them.
Right.
I wouldn't have them. And the
No
reason for
matter
that is Canaan. No matter, I don't care how it's bred. I don't care how good it was. I wouldn't care if it was a grand champion female. It doesn't matter, because that's a detriment. It's going to cost you money, cost you time, and cost you individuals when you could be concentrating on a female that's a great producer and a great mother.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be both.
Right.
Because canines are like humans. They're mammals. Now, to be a mammal means you have hair, you nurse your young, and you bear live young. So the whole concept of a mammal is you got to take care of your babies.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you ain't doing that, then what good are you?
Right.
Now, there's a lot of factors involved. I won't get into it, of why some females are not good mothers. But if they're just a bad mother, then in my case, I wouldn't keep it. I wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And the also a good indicator for me was how my females behaved with my children. If they showed motherly instincts with my children, meaning they were protective of them, they got close to them, they bonded with them, and the kids, they loved each other, and whatever, however you want to put it, that was a good indicator that they were going to be good mothers with their own offspring.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I never had a female that was a bad mother, not one.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And don't you think that's possibly a trait that will pass? It
is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is. And we get the arguments all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my retort. That's what I say to them. Well, if we follow the traits, and you're telling me that that's something that's not genetic or it can't be passed on, and you're contradicting yourself. If everything is a trait and everything can be passed on, and those negative traits like being a bad mother or being cold or whatever it is, it can be passed on too. Why would you compound it? Why would you leave it in there? So if it's a major fault in my dogs, I wasn't going to keep the individual. I wasn't going to breed it.
Okay.
If it's something minor that I could deal with and maybe, work around, that's okay. But a major fault with like being a bad mother, no.
All right. I have one last question. I'll let you guys, get back to it. Schoolboy, I heard you say way back when, just on our interview, you were like, we were talking epigenetics, where y'all were talking epigenetics, and you said something about yard intelligence. And I would like to know, do you think that can be passed on?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And what helps, honestly, what helps is if you have adults in your yard and they're in close proximity to the youngsters pick up on what the adults do. So if they're good habits, they're going to pick up on those. If they're bad habits, they're going to pick up on those. So you got to get to the point where, again, those major faults are not heavily in your family of dogs. Like, for instance, let's say your dogs are destructive. They tear their house up, they tear their bowl, bite their chain, or bite the kennel, whatever it is. If you have youngsters around that dog and he's doing that or she's doing that, the youngsters are going to start doing that, where if they had never seen that behavior, they might not have. And over time, and I don't know the science behind it, but it's going to become inherent in that family of dogs. And I'll say after 40 years, that's one of the traits, that bad things that's in my blood, is that they can be destructive. So even to this day, every once in a while, they'll get one that chews its house, bites his bowl, like that. You know, the best way, there's two ways to deal with it. You get rid of that individual, you cull it from your breeding program, or you make sure if you breed it, it's not to another dog that's destructive.
Right. Yeah.
And that'll lessen that'll lessen it. So
how much of an influence do you think, I guess you would say, engagement with the dog plays into that? Because, you know, if you're just leaving the dog out there, letting it do whatever, you know, versus actually engaging with the dog, do you think that brings some of that destructiveness down? You know, how you leave a dog independent, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it'll significantly reduce it. For example, the Zebo dogs were known to be destructive, right? The people that had them back in my time knew that a lot of that behavior was because they were left alone. They would become frustrated, or they didn't pay enough attention to them. So if you pay enough attention to them and you spend time with them and you exercise them and you bond with them, it lessens that want to be destructive. They're just high energy dogs, and they got to be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those types of dogs, what I would do is just throw them on a meal until they blew themselves out, you know, and then they wouldn't be so destructive. They'd be too tired, you know. And then if you do that towards the evening, where you get them all worked up and you work them out and a good workout, and then you feed them and put them up, they're just going to lay around and go to bed.
They done. Yeah.
They done.
Yeah.
And is that the same with the Corsos, Joe? Because I know that goes with the terriers.
Yeah, bro. I got one. I got to run the shit out of her. She got to get out and do it to it, man. Then my son, he'll be out there. She likes to bike, so he'll have that bike pillow, and I'll be cleaning cages, and my kids will be out there. But I got one, boy. You got to run her ass. You got to run her. You want to bang and roll over all other dogs. And once she gets that out, she good. You know what I'm saying? And but yeah, man, you got to let them, you know, get them legs loose. Some of them, my older dogs, probably not like that as much anymore. The Corsos, I could use a ball or something like that and get them. Them Shepherds, they usually just kind of, I don't know, they're some funny acting dogs. They good with each other though, but they like to run and bang a little bit too. I got a one situation female, she don't like to do shit, lazy ass. I got a really nice female Corso. I'm gonna breed her pretty soon. That I'm really looking forward to her taking my program to the next level. But hell yeah, you gotta work these motherfuckers out. I'm looking for a meal. I passed on a meal.
That's the next investment. Definitely a meal.
But I did have some little. I got an auction up here where I can buy like little treadmills and stuff. Now big dogs won't fit on them, but like my smaller dogs, they can fit on the little walking pads. But you know but I definitely need to get a meal. You know, because I don't give a damn what you say. Those of us who got these big dogs, you got to put them on some kind of rotation. You can't work them out every day. Once you get over 10 dogs, they got to go on a rotation. Or if you know,
Yep.
or if you have ways around the yard to get them to get that energy out of them.
Yeah.
They got usually it's a family.
There's not enough. There's not enough time in the day. You know,
Right.
even some of these old heads, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I hand walk my dog 15 miles." Come on, man.
Yeah, man.
No, you don't. You might do it once or twice, or you might do it 3 or 4 days out of the whole conditioning program. You ain't walking no 15 miles. Get out of here.
Right.
20 miles and all. Nah. Not just because the physicality. You may be able to do that, but the time involved. What are you doing the rest of the day? Do you have a job? Right. Do you take a shower? Do you eat? What do you have? Who's taking care of the other 10 dogs you have when you're doing that?
And I only work 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you don't have to do that. There's ways to do more work in half the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not knocking hand walking. It's good. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to be out there 10, 15 miles doing that.
No.
Yeah, my thoughts on the hand walking is like you say though, schoolboy. You get a human can't get a dog's heart rate up just simply walking. No. That's not how it works.
No. Even if the dog he pulls a lot, it's still not the same as sprinting, as running. And we can't run like no dog. The heart rate doesn't it'll increase, but not like at a full trot or a full sprint. Not the same.
Like what
you need to do it all. You need that low heart rate. You need the average heart rate over extended period of time, endurance. You need a high heart rate for short distance, sprint, full blast, and then back off like that. So there's different ways to do that and different methods to get it done. And it's not even, it doesn't even have to be expensive, You could do hand walking, a little bit of hand walking and mill work. Maybe do a little flirt pole or something like that.
I got a question, schoolboy. Even in the kennel, I see, especially breeds like pit bulls, them suckers be jumping all day long.
Yeah.
And is that considered as exercise? And also, is a chain considered a way to exercise a dog? Because I mean, they getting a run, and then some of them are weighted and all that stuff. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've mentioned that before, because a lot of times, I gave my dogs regular exercise, meaning I took them off the chain 2, 3, 4 days a week, rotate them like you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But part of that involved just having my kids out there or me out there playing with the dogs.
Yeah.
Or I could flirt pole them in their chain area, or play tug of war in their chain area, or tug of war between one dog and another dog on their chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another thing you could do, they don't do it so much anymore, but cable runs, where you have a long cable run, dog can go back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways to get that regular exercise in, where you don't have to take the dog off and then go do, those 10 miles or whatever it is, or even an hour on a mill, or, if you just run your dog 3 or 4 days a week, 5 or 10 minutes on a mill, that's plenty. Because especially with pit bulls, like you're saying, in a kennel, they're doing hoop-de-doos and they're running. That's exercise. A lot of times they're jumping in that kennel because they're trying to figure a way to get out. Like, how can I get out of here? What's this? What's that? And they're always, they don't like being confined. And a lot of people I knew that had dogs in kennels, they still had a chain hookup inside the kennel.
Right.
Because they will escape and they'll get out.
Them chains you have to rotate too. Like you guys were saying, heavier chains for different workout versus lighter chains, for the back end and everything like that. So
longer, shorter. I mean, there's all kinds of different, I had puppy chains, they were smaller. And a lot of times I would put the young dogs with the adult dog just so they can feed off of them, learn how to work. And My
Absolutely.
dogs could
Well, I'm gonna hop
see
out
could
there,
see
fellas.
me work the other dog, the older dogs, and they took to my keep right away because they saw the other ones doing it. They wanted to do it too. They just get on there and boom, natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All
Absolutely.
10, all 10. Hey, brother, where you from?
I'm from Tennessee. I'm out of Tennessee.
What part?
Yes, sir. Nashville.
Oh, Nashville. Oh yeah,
Yes,
Nice.
sir.
I love
I,
Nashville.
I got
Yeah.
I
friends
hate
there.
it.
You hate
Do you?
Nashville, bro? Boy, we used to
Yeah,
go down.
well, I'm not in the city. I'm in the country
Oh,
part. So, I'm
Okay.
a very big introvert. So,
oh,
I
okay.
like it. 80, the humidity.
Right. Well, I tell you what.
Right.
Back in the day, I had a homeboy going to Vanderbilt to be a doctor, so we'll go down there and vacate and holler at him. Nashville is Sony Music is down there. Everybody think Hollywood. You gotta go get a contract with them. No, the music scene is Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sony Music there, and I'm telling you, you can go anywhere in Nashville. It's a spot at night that's playing live music of that
Everywhere.
particular
Oh
everywhere.
yes, oh yes.
It's crazy.
And
Yeah.
on Sundays, you go to certain parts, you'll hear the Hispanics. Hey, they're going crazy too. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And they
Oh
play
yeah.
loud too.
Oh yeah. Boom, boom,
Oh
boom,
yeah.
boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Hey, the Hispanics be kicking it, boy. I was staying over there in Springdale. They'll get them blow up. They know how to party, bro.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear that music all night long. Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
And they
Well,
all
I don't
end
know
the
how they
same
are
way.
around y'all,
Bum
but they gonna
bum.
bring you a plate.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gonna get a yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's up, everybody? I got the link down here if you want to come in, ask Schoolboy questions, have comments or anything. Like this on this good old Friday night. We appreciate y'all coming in. Y'all could be at the
I
club.
appreciate y'all for having me.
All right,
I'm
brother.
gonna have to hop off and dig back with the kids. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all
All
have
right,
a
man.
All right, brother.
very good evening.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me
There's
get
a lot to it, but with time, and like I said, not everybody is going to agree with what I wrote down or the way I did things, right? But they're going to find that some of the stuff, at least, that's in there, they do it too, because it's inevitable whenever you're breeding, whatever it is, that there's commonalities in the way people do things.
Right. Yeah. That's a big thing about dogs. Everybody have their certain ways, and you just take what you want, leave what you don't. That's how I look at it. Some people
There you
get
go.
real strong on this stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
damn.
yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
okay not to
Yeah.
agree,
Yeah, it's all right.
But
Yeah, we
again,
got
my thing always is when somebody comes at me or we have a discussion, I want to know what they know, and I want to know what they did. And the more they know and the more they did, the more respect I have for them. Right? Because I don't like liars. I don't like fake. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to deal with that.
Yep. Schoolboy, this is Roman Price. He's a Border breeder, a preservation.
Hey, Roman.
Hey, brother. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Man, yeah, I just ran into a situation with this week, man. This girl, one of my females, she whelped. It was her first time being bred, and I was thinking that she wasn't due until this following weekend, but she just so happened last weekend, and we were away. My family were away from home, and come back, man. She was in the whelping box. She had done whelped 13 puppies.
Wow.
By herself, and so it was like she's. I never leave a first time mama by herself, but this time, because I had my days off, and
Right.
she whelped the puppies. Some of the puppies were still in the bag. I guess they were coming so fast she couldn't get them all cleaned up. So we found a few of them dead. But anyway, um, there was first 6 alive, and then 7 dead. And then this chick, man, she liked to bring all the puppies in, drag them all up under her, and try to keep you from taking them from her and whatnot.
Right.
Wind up killing most of the puppies, man. So
Mm.
now there are only 3 puppies left. And man, I was so frustrated with this girl. I was like, dang. I was more upset with myself because I wasn't there to be there to keep her calm.
Right. How
Being there
old
the
is she?
whole time. She's 2 years, just under 2 years old, almost
Okay.
2.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it can be
a lot of times,
overwhelming, and it could be like you said, it's her first time. And we had one like that. She wasn't a bad mother. She just wasn't attentive. So my wife had to kind of show her how to do things. She would put
right,
the pups up to her nipples. She would clean them for her, and then present them to her like, just different things.
right,
So
right.
it's natural instinct for them to do that, but that many pups can be overwhelming.
Exactly.
And
By herself. That's right.
yeah,
And she's such a sweet girl. Real loving and caring. Like you said, for the children. With my children, she was always good playing with puppies, and so I assumed uh, that she was going to be a great mom. But now
yeah,
she's kind of a bit high strung. So that's one of the things that I call them Tasmanian devils. They always wound up and ready to go. They
yeah,
bouncing and jumping, raring to do anything. They're very smart and will learn anything you're willing to teach them, and they're always
right,
excited about it. You know what I'm saying? But now
yeah,
that excitement can turn into anxiety at sometimes when they don't have nothing to do, and then
yeah,
they injure stuff. Then they
yeah,
start tearing up stuff and destroying stuff and just
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like the smartest ones are the most destructive.
yeah. They can get worked up, and if they're in a confined space, they might take that out on their pups. They can get worked up and just run around and stomp on the pups.
Right.
So like what I tried to do, what we did was we kept the females away from everything. Most of the time, we brought
Okay.
them inside, and I had them my wife set up the pantry where they could whelp their pups. No outside influence, just the family. No other dogs around. So if other dogs are around it doesn't matter. Anything that will get them worked up, you want to kind of keep all that away from them, at least for the first week or two.
Okay.
So if she's around where she can see other dogs, or if the kids are, you know, making a lot of noise, high pitched noise, or you got neighbors or you got vehicles, whatever it is, something that could cause anxiety or get them worked up. You try and avoid that. You know.
Well, this chick, man, if she hear things going on outside of the whelping box or outside of the puppy room there, other dogs, she think they having fun, so she want to jump out the box, come see what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
So she'll
That'll
leave the
do it.
puppies in there and chill out. Like, hey, well,
Yeah.
she ain't got
Yeah.
nothing else to do.
Yeah. That'll do it.
I think I'm gonna retire her off this one. I'm just like, nah. I think she's stressed. She ran my blood pressure through the roof, dude. I'm telling you, man. Like, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. My wife took care of a lot of that, and even my kids. They're the ones who really raise the pup because I'm out messing with the adults for the most part.
Right.
But my wife being a mother and she babies and all that, she just handled most of that. She even bottle fed some of them if they needed it. Not really that they needed it, but it was more her. She wanted a baby, so she would get a pup, and baby it in between children.
Yeah, it works though because that's what mine's doing too now because that helps me a lot tremendously because man, I'm telling you,
Oh yeah,
when I sit there and start counting up costs and it's like, You just wiped out the whole litter of puppies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, it's
That's
bad.
like, my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had 8 pups. By the time it was done, there was only 2 left. And
Okay.
then back then we had parvo hit, we had coronavirus hit, different thing. Now you have babesia, you have all kinds of things that can happen. So
Okay.
it just preventative maintenance is a big deal, and sometimes accidents happen, and they're just accidents. A friend of mine,
Right.
he had them in a shed, and he had a heater in there, and somehow the heater, something electrical, anyways, it started a fire and killed the pups
Oh
and the
my
mom.
God. Wow.
So all kinds of stuff can happen. And these are
Wow.
experienced dogmen, and I was experienced too, and I still had mishaps.
Right.
But you try
Right.
and just lessen them as you move along.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would think maybe that girl deserve another chance to be bred, or
Yeah, I would. Yeah, if you really like her and you really wanted to make her part of your family of dogs, I would breed her one more time and see.
okay.
Could be her first time, could be the circumstances, could be, and just wherever you're going to have her whelp the pups, or wherever she's going to deliver them, and I would have her there as soon as possible. Have her living in that spot as soon as possible, whether it's a month, 2 weeks out, or whatever it is, just so she's comfortable and familiar with that area. And okay, this is where I'm living now. And she'll start nesting. She'll start fixing the area for the delivery of the pup. A lot of times the
Okay.
change bothers them. They don't. We had one. We fixed a whole room. We only had one kid at the time, so she had a whole room to herself. I had it all fixed up. When it came time to have the pup, she got out of the room and she had him underneath our bed. She didn't want to. It's just her choice. She was inside the house, but we had a special room for her. She didn't like that. She ended up delivering the pups underneath our bed. We were okay with it. So.
You think that was because she was wanting to be closer to your wife?
Yep.
Okay.
She wanted to be part of the family too,
Okay.
And
Okay.
we put her in the room at last minute, and we left the door open so she could go in and out when she had to go to the bathroom or whatever. And
Okay.
she just, that's not where she wanted to have them. She wanted to have them underneath our bed, so we let her.
Okay.
All right.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you guys for allowing me to
Welcome.
come on and ask questions.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for
All
coming
right.
up.
All right. Good to see you, Big Roman. Big Roman.
Yes, sir.
Price.
Thank you much, brother.
All right, sir. We'll holler. House is in the house.
What's happening?
House.
What's happening?
How you doing?
How we doing? I'm good. How you doing, schoolboy?
Good, thanks.
Good. Man, I've been seeing you and Joe chopping it up for a long time.
Oh,
It's good to finally
yeah.
get to interact with you a little bit.
Yeah, Joe, one of my favorite people.
Thank you.
Joe's cool. Yeah. So I'm a little bit late jumping on. What I miss? Where we at?
Well, we going over his book,
The book.
How to Breed the American Pit Bull Terrier. It's a damn good book.
I bet.
You buy one now. He says $85. He'll mail it. Do you sign it, schoolboy?
Yep.
And then he gonna send it to you. Then you mail it to me, and then I'll sign it for you and send it back.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, that's the it's funny, but it's not. My first book called The Big Red Handbook.
Mhm.
I took it everywhere I went, and I had all these dogmen sign it. I got probably 100 signatures in there, famous dog guys,
Right.
Ooh,
in the pit bull world, anyway.
Yeah.
like a high school yearbook with dog men. I like it.
Like that, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Stay cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
schoolboy, House here, he has a podcast too, and he is in
Oh,
the
nice.
same state. Yeah, he's in the same state I am. He's over there in Searcy.
Yeah.
And
Okay. What's is it called? House?
My name is
Channel?
Cole House. Oh no, the channel Sykes Pups. That's our kennel
Yeah.
name. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. That's our last name. Me and my brother we breed like together. We both have oldies,
Okay.
so we just use our last name. You know.
Right.
Hmm.
And what are you breeding?
Old English Bulldogs.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
a
my
little
buddy has
different,
those.
but yeah,
Yeah, got to keep them going, preserve it, you know?
yeah. They're fun dogs. They really are. I love them.
Yeah. Do you artificial inseminate?
All that. Yeah, all
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
They do tie and whelp natural. Um, I tend to I don't we use a lot of dogs that are somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, we're just starting out, so we're getting our blood in here, and soon enough we'll be bringing
Good.
our stuff onto our stuff, so they won't be as necessary. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. But I didn't know the other day too, because I was on his show the other day, Schoolboy. He a California boy too, San Diego, right?
yeah, yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we vacationed there last year. We went to Marine World. Yeah.
when SeaWorld.
Yeah, SeaWorld. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I We go places. My wife, let's go check out the aquarium. I'm like, nah,
Nah. I've been in an
nah.
aquarium my whole life, huh?
Yeah, aquarium, the zoo, all that stuff. Nah,
Yeah.
I've seen,
Yeah.
I've been to the mountaintop.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
go somewhere else. Let's go somewhere else. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
you put something up for Mr. Hicks. He's
Oh
good
yeah,
people, man. Thank you. Thank you,
oh
Mr.
yeah,
Hicks, for putting
yeah.
that
Mr.
up.
Garcia is one of the best to get info from. His book is a must for those wanting to learn more. By all means, get one. Shout out, Sir and Miss Hicks. And he ain't lying, man.
My
This
man.
is a
My
this
man.
is a really, really, really good book. You know, I don't bullshit the people. This is a
Right.
really, really good book. Schoolboy now. I was like, is this schoolboy now? In there cutting up. I said, God, it's a really good book. Really good book. I want to hey, let me insert this question right quick. This is from Nicole 82. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. You know, I'm just a little boy from the South. I didn't make
Ni-
straight A's.
Nikolai.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the breeding practices used for APBT will work the same for other breeds? APBT can handle the tight inbreeding. Not sure the same goes for other breeds.
Yeah, they can. And that's a good point to make, because what happened with a lot of other breeds, the reason they can't handle inbreeding is because the quality has been lessened, meaning they're not durable, they're not tough, they don't have constitution, they don't have that good bone structure and structure at all. So, in the same respect that there's been detriments to other breeds, that can happen with anything. It's happened in the pit bull community too. Not just because of heavy inbreeding, but because standards haven't been kept up for health and vigor and vitality and constitution. So you can lose anything. And I always use Mother Nature as an example. So in Mother Nature, they use all kinds of breeding techniques. They use inbreeding, they use line breeding, outcrossing. Every once in a while, something else will come into the pride or into the pack and breed and throw fresh blood in there, right? So if you follow what Mother Nature does, then you're pretty safe. And the way Mother Nature gets by and gets away with inbreeding, line breeding, outcrossing is because Mother Nature weeds out the weak. So in our case, we're Mother Nature. That's what we have to do.
Yeah.
The ones that aren't up to par, we have to cull them from our breeding program.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, you can use any kind of breeding technique you want, and it's going to work. It's going to fit your program. And he's right. In pit bulls, a lot of them can take heavy inbreeding, but at some point, if you keep doing that, you're going to lose everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the gene pool becomes too small and the faults become more pronounced.
Mhm.
That's happened with a lot of families with pit bulls.
Yeah,
That's why you don't see them no more. That's why you don't hear about them no more.
yeah. They drove them in the ground. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I was making those comments earlier about the Corso. If you better get with some guys who've been doing it for a while, because you will run into trouble. You double up on some of the wrong shit and make it into intense, your program will end.
yeah.
Watch, you'll see a lot of guys Corso program in within 5 years. Just
Mhm.
I guarantee it. Holler at me in 5 years. You see, they'll be done. They'll be done. Yeah, they ain't got nobody to talk to. They know everything. You know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
you'll see.
Yeah,
uh, Anthro says, in my opinion, a sound APBT could fix a lot of faulty traits in working breeds and bullies, but none of those would be benefit to a pure breed APBT.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's right.
Uh-huh.
In the respect that if you're looking at the pit bull for athleticism and work and function, yeah, sticking another breed to the pit bull could be a detriment.
Mhm.
But sticking the pit bull to another breed, it could be a benefit.
Everybody reach for it. A lot of people reaching for that pit bull terrier at you. And
Yeah, it just depends on what you're trying to get out of it. You know,
right.
if you're trying to like make your dog not so animal aggressive, it could work, but more than likely it's not. If you're trying to make your side, you know, more athletic or more structurally sound, yeah, the pit bull can benefit it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the negatives with the pit bull is temperament. They have a high prey drive. You know, they have a high animal aggressiveness, not just against other dogs, but you know, they might go after your horse or your pig or your goat or whatever, your your little pooch, you know. And there's been pit bulls throughout the history that were good with other animals. Those are exceptions, they're not the rule. Even though there's tons of them, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
they have to be raised a certain way. They have to have the right temperament. You know, they have to have the right owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, guys, if y'all got questions or comments from the Instagram, go ahead and send them. I see Baymax. Oh shit, I got some hitters over there on Instagram. I'm finna call y'all out too. I'm finna call y'all. Vikara Bull
Get them
Prescott.
out. Get them. Get them.
Yeah, Baymax. What's up, Miss Pamela? Baymax, y'all go follow that dog. Yeah, MVYLVY, Mr. Garcia, NWA, salute. Oscar Mora. Oscar Mora in the house.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wow. Wayne
Listen,
Singleton.
yes.
I see you, y'all. Boy, there's some heavy hitters there. That Wayne Singleton, boy. There's some top-notch trainers there, man. Y'all better look
Okay.
those folks up just because they are. Well, Oscar, everybody kind of know Oscar if you're in the K9 world, but Wayne Singleton, y'all better look him up. That's a bad brother out of Illinois, with the shoots and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So they watching. So
There you go.
thank y'all for looking in. Yeah. Anybody else need to come in and ask Mr. Schoolboy a question? What's 78 now, man? What Buck now, man? I thought Buck now would be in here tonight.
They probably got something going.
Yeah, they probably yeah.
Yeah.
So so that's another thing. Schoolboy, you'll see him on different shows and things like that, always giving information. That's why I hope his Cash App over there ringing, because it ain't a lot of times we got guys of his caliber, his knowledge base to come on here and sit with us and share all the information that he does. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's important for the next generation. And he'll go down.
I try and support as many as I can. You know, I'll go on Bulk Show or I'll go on different ones. I've been on the Twin, just different people that I know and respect. You know.
Yeah.
Or they'll ask me. You know.
You said you've been on a Twin show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get with them Twins. If y'all see me, man, holler at me, man. I need to get y'all on the show. I've been watching y'all. I need to get y'all on the show.
Yeah. In fact, I think I got a couple of interviews with them on there on my show, on my program. but I've been
Oh,
on
yeah.
their show several times.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Good people, a
all
lot
over.
of experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm all over. Yeah, I
Everybody
think I
know you.
slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been mostly concentrating on my channel, and then I'm always writing books, so that'll uh keep me busy. From You can kind of monitor how things are going. If you don't see me here and there and everywhere, it's because I'm working on a book probably.
Right.
And then when I'm taking a break, then you'll see me here, there, and everywhere.
I've learned that. I've learned that recently, and this is something you might want to think about. How after it's gonna start to weigh on you coming on social media so much. You have to start spreading it out, taking breaks. You
Oh yeah.
know, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
mental breaks. You know what I'm saying? So
That's why generally I just do it once a week.
yeah, yeah.
I was coming home
Well, that's
from
good.
mom's house and I was just kind of feeling froggy. I was like, let's do something. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
generally it's once a week. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
For that
That,
reason.
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's good. You think about it, that's 50 shows a year. It's quite a bit.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. That
And
yeah. Because we got to
It's
100.
more than a TV show, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah.
if TV has seasons, they might do 20 or 30. So if
Yeah.
we do
Right.
one a week, that's more than a regular TV show.
That's
Yeah.
all. That's all
Just
you need
there's
to be
there's heavy
entertained.
competition though in the online community. Not
Oh boy.
just
Yeah,
pit
it's
bull,
crazy.
but
Yeah,
all kinds of breeds.
yeah.
Everybody trying to.
Everybody trying, to make their way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's plenty of people out there. There's a lot of people out there, but I'd rather work with somebody than you know what I mean. I'm that type.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
This game, you can't do it alone. You have to work with others in this game because there's just too much information.
Yeah.
They'll get tired of hearing you. And if your knowledge base ain't deep, you
Yeah.
can't do it alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And,
I
and
agree.
even if it is, there's a lot of people whose knowledge base is deep, and I just the I after a while like catch their mannerisms, things like that, and start to wear on me. Like, man, this dude's kind
Yeah,
of
Yeah,
yeah,
so. It's
yeah.
it's refreshing and it's cool to be able to come on something like this, and a couple people followed me over here, and you came on mine. People followed you over, and
Yeah, you
you
got to
know,
work together. Yeah, you got to work.
yeah,
You got to work together.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you could be too much, and you start picking up on people negative side. Like I was doing too many shows, and people were irritating me, and I was getting called. You need to take a break because your attitude is starting to show all the shows.
Yeah.
I was pissed off.
Yeah.
yeah,
Fuck with me,
I tell people that I interview, when I do some of the interviews, I'll tell them, "Hey, I want you to talk. I get tired of hearing myself talk, man. I've been
Yeah.
talking too much."
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
One
yeah,
one thing one
go
thing
ahead.
I did want to add though, was the last comment, Anthro, about the pit bull being able to fix things and the bully breeds.
Hmm.
The bully breeds are I'm not an expert, but that's kind of like more my lane. Uh, I don't do the bully per se. I do oldies, like I said, but the pit bull traits are more the things that we're trying to breed away from
Right.
because that
Yeah, that's that detriment I was mentioning because you put too much in the bully breed. Now you're going to have a
pit
dog
bullies.
aggressive and maybe even a human aggressive animal.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to be real careful.
and also in the physical traits, like we're trying to keep the muscle, the bone, the thickness, the what we call bulliness,
There you go.
and that's
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
strip a lot of it away in a
yeah,
heartbeat.
yeah. Especially if you breed the pit bull, if it has more of the terrier type
Yeah,
structure, you know, yeah, you can get too thin bone, too tall, too
yeah,
not so bulky muscle, thinner muscle. Yeah,
yeah, mhm,
yeah. That's all part of breeding. It's all part of the choices you make, which individuals you're breeding to, what you're trying to get.
yeah,
And a lot of times, when people make breedings, let's say it didn't work, right? The outcome wasn't what they thought. rather than just culling it from their program, they'll sell the dog and in some cases give them away. You know, it's like they're giving their problem to someone else rather than nipping it in the bud and just, you know, go a different direction or go back one generation and start over. You know,
Yeah.
they're always trying to recoup their money that they put in, and that ain't gonna happen. It's, you know, there's so much involved, especially with pit bulls. You ain't ever gonna make no money with pit bulls unless you're on a large scale. And even people that have, you know, sell pit bulls to some extent and are successful, they got some other gig going. They have another job, or they have another project, or they have another business. So it's not just solely pit bulls where they're making their money. It's
Yeah.
real hard to do that, you know.
Yeah, it is. That takes special men to live completely off the dogs. I notice if they doing that, they usually training or they got a, like you say, a large scale operation. And I bet
Yeah.
he got a hell of a name behind it too.
Yeah,
Multiple streams of income. You have to
Yeah.
that are canine related.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
you better keep
Yeah.
your day job, buddy. Keep your day job.
Yeah.
You better. Yeah.
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 Definitely keep it.
Even someone like Tom Garner, who's world known and
Mhm.
puts a lot of dogs out, you know, he has all kinds of businesses, you know,
Yeah.
go along
yeah.
with it.
Right. Yeah. I believe in having multiple streams of income. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I shoot for 5. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's probably kind of how why I am about wide open with these dogs, because I don't have to, you know, the dogs ain't my
Right.
Yeah.
Source of income, major source of income. Yeah.
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 So I can come on here and talk about dogs openly, and people can learn more because I ain't really competing with nobody. To me,
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here.
I could just learn and put the best animal out I can. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Just with my small operation, man, just down through the years, we talking about when you add in all your just everything, the upkeep, the bays, you doing 40, 50K.
Yeah.
You get about a new car.
Yeah.
Mhm. I need to sell
It's
this old
down.
Nova out here, y'all. I got a 74 Nova with a 454. Y'all come down here and buy it. It's all gold. Or trade me
Wow.
for one of them box
There you go.
box Chevy trucks. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this the buy, sell, and trade channel as well.
Yeah.
Anybody got something to sell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, if y'all ain't got no more to say to I'm gonna do a last call here. Anybody want to jump in and holler at Schoolboy, House, or anything? And I like to thank Schoolboy, man. This is a hell of a book, y'all. This is a hell of a book.
I'm gonna give me one. I see you, Emperor.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I'll tell them, Bully. Dogs are so much more than money.
Yeah.
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 He has a question. Schoolboy, what dog have you seen back in the day with the hands down best win?
Well, mine. Yeah, dog named Clayton Blood. He's a 2-time winner. He won in an hour 39 and 2 hours and 43 minutes. I even schooled him in the middle of summer. Never took a breath. Just had just natural air, and that was just his genetics, his individuality. There's been other ones. I would say like Vince's Petey, same way. Just great air, natural. You know, a lot of endurance. Maybe.
How long did you say?
What's that?
How long?
First one was an hour 39, and his second was 2 hours and 43 minutes.
Scratching.
Never off his feet, never thrown down, never, always on all fours, just move. He was a defensive specialist, you know, and other dogs, you know, you call them head dogs or whatever, same way, you know.
Right. Wow.
Ken Allen's Robert T, 9-time winner. He was like that too. Different ones,
Right.
3 hours, 4 hours, you know, like that.
Yeah.
But regardless of the time they went, it's more when you see dogs like that, whether they're in condition or not in condition, they just have good natural air, natural ability, speed, movement. It seems like they would never get tired. They could go all day and all night if they had to.
What about a dog when you talk about air and endurance? Is it something specific about his anatomy, about his cage? Was it long?
Yeah, more long, more taller,
Okay.
and the lungs, you know, the chest is deep rather than wide and broad.
Right.
You know, it's not skinny, but it's more long. It goes from their chest, you know, when they're standing, you can see it almost goes from the chest all the way back to their stomach.
Right.
Their rib cage is elongated. And then a lot of it has to do with the individual itself, that how they pace themselves, how they control their breathing and their heart rate. It never gets to the point where you know, they overextend themselves and now they're blowed out and they're just exhausted.
Right.
That has a lot to do with their intelligence. You know, they pace themselves, they control their breathing and their heart rate, because they don't know how long they're going to be there. They might be there an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is you could have a dog with similar structure but doesn't have the same air or endurance.
Yes.
Because they get overexcited, they blow themselves out, they have an adrenaline dump. They dump all their adrenaline, they have no reserve.
Let me mention something right quick. The chat jumping back up to 40 people again. It went down to 27. Now went up to 40. Hey, your old bipolar chat, y'all stay in here. What y'all doing?
Yeah.
But look at here.
Wee.
Yeah, this is called the Schoolboy Keep. And
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I sent you one, Joe.
Yeah,
oh,
sent me
nice.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read just a little bit of it. Man,
Well, come on.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
Come
buy
on.
it. I'm just trying to show you what's in these books, so you don't think we just up here jabbing.
Share with the congregation.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me read like we at church.
Come on.
All right.
Yeah.
And then the preacher will repeat it. But look, learn to read each dog as each is different and require their own type of conditioning and attention. Most conditioning programs that you develop for each dog will be similar and may require only slight tweaking and have very few changes to it. Others will be completely different. The challenge to conditioning is for you to choose the proper workout and utilize it effectively. So here's a quick review of a rub down. Rub every part of the dog's body, head to toe to nail. Rub in muscle groups and in the direction the hair grows. Rub the dog down after the workout, not before, and begin after he's completely cooled down for 15 to 30 minutes. So I'm just all I'm gonna give you. It's some really solid information to do. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
You
gotta do it to know it, you know. And just little things like rub down in the hair, the direction the hair grows. Like, why would you do that? Well, if you're going against the direction, you got the hair all clumped up and it back this and that. When you do it the direction the hair grows, you're rubbing in the muscle in groups, and what you'll see is they'll start to form in muscle groups on the dog itself, and they'll separate, right? So you have the shoulders down to the legs, you'll have the chest will split down the middle. Same thing with the head, it'll split down the middle of the head, and you have muscle on each side, and you'll see that in between their toes, their stifle. And it just, you know, it looks like it looks like if you see boxers or MMA fighters, how you can see all the muscles around their rib cage and the sinews on their chest. Like, same thing with a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
what that does, it allows them freedom of movement,
Right.
and they can
Right.
move whatever direction they need to move. They have strength, and they have they're not confined. They're not bulky like a bodybuilder, where or a power lifter or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because in our world, and any sport, even hunting dogs, bulk is not good.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have good strong muscle, and they have to be able to move, and they have to have the lung capacity to have endurance also.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one of your homeboys in here. What's up? What's up, Brian? Steadfast Performance. Hello, gentlemen. Enjoyed the
Hey,
late.
what's happening?
Yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you.
y'all. We got
Thank you, brother.
we got a video with Steadfast and Schoolboy. Y'all got to go through my channel. I'm telling you, man, we
Yeah,
got some classics on the joint, man. I'm telling you, some classics on here.
yeah.
Go ahead. Hal.
Steadfast is the one with the social media dog man video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that
Man,
one.
that's
Yeah,
a classic.
yeah. That was
Hey,
good.
Yeah.
he set it off with a video he made.
Uh-huh.
It was a short video. He set it off. He had social
Yeah.
media fire, boy. And so
Yeah.
we did the show after that, and did Tony Scandy from Ohio. He jumped in on it as a guest host and everything. It was crazy, man.
I watched it. It was good. It was real
Yeah,
good.
it was damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me mention this while Brian, because they remind me of something. So I don't know if you guys have been looking at some of my posts, but we doing breed profiles now. And when you watch breed profiles on YouTube channel, it's always maybe a guy like me. I'm not knocking anybody talking about the dog, but I'm trying to get people who are involved with that breed to do your own breed profile for the history. You know what I'm saying? Not me talking about it, writing no AI message, reading it. I think
Right.
it's important for the dog men that's involved with the dogs. Y'all get the profiles on these dogs, and things, and send me your pictures, and I'm gonna put it out professionally. I'm gonna put it out nice. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be all your dogs. Schoolboy, you probably need to do the pit bull profile for us. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote the book. I mean,
Yeah, 5 to
Yeah.
15 minutes. Just I know he know how to do it, but
Yeah.
Brian,
Just keep
yeah,
reminding me, and
yeah, okay,
I'll get it done. And then we'll go over it. We'll
yeah,
talk on the phone and go over it, see what I need to
yeah,
do, and guide
right,
me
right.
along, and I'll put it out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian, we want that from you too. So anybody significant in the breed, Roman Price was here, Johan Swart, anybody that can do one on the Boreable. We looking for you guys. We got several American Bulldog guys. We got Vito Alou. We
yeah.
got Justin McKee. They could do breed profiles. We ain't got to just do one, and both of y'all do one. But we want y'all to
There you
do it
go.
for historical purposes. You
There
do
you
your own
go.
damn breed
There
profile.
you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
There you
I
go.
like it.
What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Man, I wish I'd have thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm gonna put it out nice. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it out real nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Professional.
Yeah. Where can the book be purchased? Let me go back up to the top and go get it. But hey, I'm gonna have it in the comments and the description box. Where
Yeah.
Doug? Yeah, Doug must be doing. Doug, you out partying tonight?
Yeah, you can, all my merchandise and even my registrations that I do, it's all done personally with me. I don't have a website. I don't, I'm real technically limited. So for anything, books, not paraphernalia, but memorabilia, paraphernalia.
Hey, we
Nice.
1052 up in this joint.
you can get a hold of me on Facebook Messenger, or my email, richardjschoolboy60@gmail.com, or on Instagram, and we can go from there. And yeah, that's the information there.
Right. Good evening, the Chicago medicinal guy. Good evening to you, sir. Anthro says Deep rib cage is better for air as opposed to barrel chest. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Steadfast got nice SBTs.
Yeah.
Alex, are APBT good hunting dogs?
They can be, yeah. Mostly as a singular, in tandem or in groups, not so much. Although there are some you can hunt in groups or in tandem, two at a time. But yeah, they're good. They're used for not just catch dogs in hog hunting, but also for coyotes. What do you call them? Raccoons. They can
Raccoons,
be
yeah.
used for that.
Yeah.
Squirrels. Some of them can be. They're good for going to ground, but generally those are the smaller terriers. That go after squirrels and even badgers and stuff like that. Yeah, I have a friend in Europe that uses them for that. What was that? You know a guy what?
I know a guy that hunts hogs with pits.
Yeah.
And he does it
A lot of
pretty regularly. He's got a big old stable.
yeah. In fact, back in the day, a friend of mine, the culls, his culls for pit bull, he didn't put them down. He would give them to hog hunting people, and they just serve a different purpose. But yeah. But it's like anything else, the pit bull has a certain reputation, but that doesn't mean it's good for everything. And they are versatile, but it's a matter of finding out which ones can do that type of work and which ones can't. You have to be a certain type of individual even to hunt hogs, because a pit bull, if they're going butting heads with the hog, that's not good. They have to be a little bit smarter than that. They have to use their weight. They have to catch the hog on top, on the head, ears, or on the snout.
Yeah.
Because a hog, they'll trade with you, shoulder to shoulder like that. That'll kill a pit bull quick. So, even though they have high prey drive and killer instincts and all that, that doesn't make them good for everything. Some pit bulls aren't good for hunting raccoons. Some are. They have to be more specialized,
Right.
with different prey, like a raccoon. You gotta be able to dispatch the raccoon quickly. Because raccoons they're hard to kill.
Yeah, they'll tear your ass up, won't they?
Yeah.
They got thumbs. They ready.
Yeah, they got exactly.
Yeah.
And they have real loose skin, So the dog has to either crush the head or go to the throat, something like that, It has to be because with hunting you're going to do it repeatedly over 1, 2, 3, 4 days, more than one. You can't get on a raccoon and then have the dog wear out in 20, 30, be there 20, 30 minutes. He can't do another hunt. He's done for the day, So they have to be more specialized.
Overall, how is your breed? I hear people say things about their breed, like, oh, it's heading in this direction. How is it for the APBT overall? The condition of the breed, is it being bred appropriately, or is it just being,
The pit bull?
Yeah.
Well, it's like anything else. You're going to have diehard people that are going to keep the breed to standard, and then you're going to have those that don't. And they're gonna. It could be detrimental to the breed, just health wise, if they're not keeping those standards up. Just like what happened with the German Shepherd, now has hip dysplasia and they have structure problems and all that.
Right.
So if you don't do that, you're gonna lose it, and that can happen. If you just make it a show dog, it's gonna go bad.
Away.
Yeah.
Go away.
But if you keep it where you have the weight pool and you have hunting and you have wall climb and treadmill race, then it could have longevity because you're doing something with the dog. It's performing a function. It has a job to do. And every breed was developed, even the old English bulldogs, Those were the ones that were used, the ancestors of those anyways, just like the ancestors
Mhm.
of the pit bull. Those were the ones used in hunting, in bear baiting and bull baiting, and different functions back. You talking 1800s, 17, 15, 1600s, like that. They had
Yeah,
a purpose.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
as long as the dog, the breed, whatever breed it is, has a purpose and a function, then it can have longevity.
Yeah.
If
And
not, then
that's the thing we run
it,
into, because those jobs for the oldie are gone.
yeah,
There's some people that still, using the like hog hunt or whatever, and we try to keep the ability. You know what I mean?
right,
We try to keep a dog that functions and can do whatever you ask of it.
right,
But
right.
reality is most people aren't asking that no more. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
Most people want a dog as a pet, and they love the nostalgia and they love what it used to do. But for them themselves to be out there doing something with the breed,
yeah.
they don't really, you have people in the cities, or you have people that work a lot or whatever. They kind of get away from raising and breeding animals for a certain purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I got so many shows I want to do just to discuss these topics, but
Yeah.
we'll get to
Yeah.
them because that is
Well,
a
the good
subject.
thing, Joe, is because there's so many of them topics, you'll never run out of shows to do. You'll
No,
never,
no.
long as I'm on this earth, and as long as I'm able to function, have my faculties, I'll
Yeah.
never run out of shows. Even
Yeah.
if I was to sit and just myself talk, which that
Right.
gets boring, but I could do that every day of the week if I wanted to, because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
so much to it, and
It
that's
is.
just
Yeah.
one breed of dog. But there's so many topics. I got a book, I told you before, I got a book with topics just over and over, written this and that. There's too many of them. So,
Mhm.
you got to figure a way to keep it going. But as far as topic goes, you never, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what breed it is. It could be the old English Bulldog, could be Cane Corso, could be Bourbon, whatever,
Right. Yeah, because I was talking, we was messaging, it was me, Doug, and Jamal last night. We were just talking about when you talking about um, the function of dogs and how times have changed. And I was saying, like, well, with me, I know most of my families ain't gonna be hunting no dog. I mean, hunting no hogs, and and things
right?
like that. So, but I still have to. I still have obligation of as a breeder to put out the best dog I can. So, but being that I know who my base is, I got
Yeah.
to make sure my Corso's got real guard dog capabilities. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Yep.
everybody ain't gonna do protection work, but I still got to produce a dog that kind of go ape shit about his family. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I still
Yep.
have that duty, but
Yep.
we're not in the Stone Ages no more. So what all do we do with our dogs? And so Jamal was bringing up stuff like, he said something about, well, you could do sit work. You can he was telling Doug, you can maybe even sniff out bed bugs, or you can use dogs to when deers get shot and killed location. And
Mhm.
these are modern jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Because me myself, I'm not taking my fat ass out there to chase no damn pig. But when you catch them, holler at me.
Well, that's how
Yeah.
most of the time, that's how they hunt. They hog hunt, Joe.
Right. Yeah.
They find the hog, the pit bull or the catch dog is in a crate or a kennel in the truck
Mhm.
or three-wheeler or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And when they locate the hog, they cut the dog loose.
Yeah.
And then the dog does the work. And by the time, like I'm fat too. By the time I get there, he got the hog under control, and then we do what
Yeah.
we got to do.
Yeah,
But
they
I
can
ain't
disappear.
chasing no. I did that before, where we're chasing hog up
Yeah.
and down and going this, and it killed me. I couldn't hardly walk. My wife was on a balcony on at the camp, and she could see us chasing this dog and this hog all over the countryside, man. We just kicked back and watched. by the time I was done, I could not stand up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. We were into it. We got all excited, and, like that. But and the whatever it was that whatever breed you're using, whatever made that breed what it is,
Mhm.
if you understand that and you know that all these traits and mentalities and temperament, behavior, all this stuff, if you can take that and transfer it to the new age, whatever it is you're going to use it for, like you said, scent work or find a
Mhm.
dispatched deer or lure course or sports or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. You got to find something
then
modern to do with it. Yeah.
right, something modern to apply to that breed. It'll keep that breed going, even though you changed up a little bit of what it was used to do in the past.
Yeah.
So I got a question. Please don't get mad at me, pit bull people. Uh, so I know like Dre and them, they do like protection work with their pit bulls. With the out how America looks, America turned on the pit bull at one point.
Yeah.
And when you training pit bulls on people, do you think does it show that the dog has more control, aggression if it's trained correctly, or is there something you wouldn't want to see for the breed biting on people, being that the stigma it carries? I know that's
Me personally, I don't like it.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't like it because of that stigma.
Yeah.
They already have that negative, and because if a pit bull does turn on a human, they're more dangerous than a regular dog. They don't have the size of a Cane Corso or a Borbal or something like that, but they can be very dangerous.
For
And
our
I know of three.
Yeah.
I know of 3 instances where they have become very dangerous.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't tell people what to do with their dogs, and if
exactly,
they can do it in a responsible manner,
Mhm.
and they have the results to back them up of what they're doing with the pit bull attack train or or protection or what like that, then good for them.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't like it, but I ain't the judge and jury, or I ain't the one to be telling people what to do. I wouldn't want someone to not to tell me what I can do or what I can't do with my dogs.
Right. Yeah.
The laws did that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
anything that shows a breed in a positive light,
right.
I'm for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know too. I don't really never. I'm sure it's happened, but I never really heard of like a trained protection dog just getting out of somebody's ass. I'm sure it's gonna happen, but I never really hear about a trained protection dog, because you got to really put those dogs up. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna, you don't want him digging out of nowhere. He got to put up. But yeah, man, I always kind of wonder about that amongst all breeds, because of how society is tightening up on us on dogs. How we show them in aggression. And I know some trainers that know how to train some killers.
They're amazing.
Yeah, even though they'll tell you, but the most thing people need is more just practical things around the house. And even though they can train them like that, their attitude ain't like, it's more
right.
They real nice, real fun men, but they can train a dog to tear your ass up.
Yeah. That's how kind of you want to be. That's how it should be. When it's not in that mode, it's a dog. It should be just a regular dog.
Right.
And then when it performs its function, that's separate. Even with pit bulls, they can, what I used to do with them, right? But when they're not doing that, we treat them like a regular dog. They're not much different. They're more high strung, and they're more uh, athletically inclined to be active. But other than that, they're just a regular dog.
Right. Right.
And once an animal, the dog understands the difference. Generally, when they're doing their work, they're doing their work. When they're not, they know the difference, and they're not, they're not on all the time, and they're not
Mhm.
always looking to do something all the time. They kick back.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
I've said this before too. If you think about it, the pit bull in the past, when it was being competed with, and everything that led up to that, it's hours out of their life. That's all it is. It's not days, it's not months, it's not years. The time frame for it is very short. And it doesn't matter if you had a champion, grand champion, whatever it is. You're talking several hours out of their life. But it's such a hard experience that if they lived to the point of retirement, they deserved it, and they needed to be just left alone. You couldn't keep that up for 5, 6 years, 10 years, doing this every month, every week like that. No. Whereas a different functioning animal like a hound dog, you can hunt 3, 4 days a week with them, and you can do that for a whole season. You couldn't do that with a pit bull.
So what kind of frequencies did they perform in? Like what, every couple months, 6 months, or
Generally, every 6 months, I would say,
like a
depending on
boxer?
some shorter, some longer, some they have to recoup for a year. But the actual time involved is what I'm speaking of. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
schooling is, even if let's say you school them 4 or 5 times, okay, that might be a couple hours to do that process. Then the competition might be another couple hours, the whole competition, or it might be 5 hours. So schooling, competition, it could be 10 or 20 hours out of their life. That's all it is. It's not where people, where you think, oh, you're doing this and you're doing that. No. I've known dogs that they had a couple of schoolings, they have 1 or 2 wins, they're put up. The rest of their life, they don't do nothing with them. The rest of their life, they're being bred. So it's been more sensationalized a lot in people's mind and what they think about it, where it's not that drastic. Even race horses, right? Horse racing, thoroughbreds. They
Mhm.
start them at 2 years old, and if they're lucky enough to go through the Triple Crown and all that, right? And then the Breeders' Cup, where they're 3 years old, and then they might race another couple of 3 years, maybe, and then they're retired. But they're not racing horses when they're 10 years old, 12 years old, and horses can live to be 25, 30 years old.
Just waiting for
So
the man to
even
come with the glove. Huh?
that's it, yeah. So they're competitive uh, time in the sport is short. It's a couple of 3 years. That's all it is. A famous horse, John Henry, he was racing when he was 6 years old. That was old compared to the rest of the horses. They don't, because their time span is short, and that's with a lot of different breeds. Racing pigeons, same thing. Uh, the competitive side is not that long. It's not like years and years like some people think.
Yeah. 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 Competition. Competition. I know you're a performance man, and I know this talk, the American Pit Bull Terrier is an important dog to this country. And
Mhm.
especially when you talk about performance. And me and Schoolboy got this number one. Me and Schoolboy like the same girl called boxing.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We love boxing. And just before we get out of here, I could talk all night, but it's time to go. Can you name some famous boxers that was dog men. I really love dogs, or the American Pit Bull Terrier, or
Oh yeah,
or should I say the Staffy too?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's several of them. Well, you go back in history. Jack Johnson, heavyweight champion.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, hey, look up Jack Johnson, y'all.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
he was. Hey, you would think Boosie was sitting back in there. He had all these gold teeth in his mouth.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
hey, that's funny. That's
yeah,
funny, right?
yeah.
So the funny thing
He had
about
a
Jack,
storied career. Go ahead. Go ahead.
he had a hell of a career. So Jack Johnson was a very arrogant man. And what time frame was he fighting in? Was it the early 1900s?
Yeah, 1910.
1910. Yeah, and he was dating white women back then, openly.
Married him. He married him.
Married. Yeah,
They had something called the Mann Act, where if you took women across state lines for illicit purposes, it was illegal, right?
yeah,
So they chased him because his girlfriend was white. So the way he got out of it, two ways. He went to Europe, right, and ran for a while. Then when he came back, he married her. So they
Yeah.
couldn't prosecute him because
Right.
that was his wife.
yeah.
Weird.
And I
The
think
girl
they
was his
made
wife.
that law. That law is that especially for him, which that's the law they dig up nowadays. They put R. Kelly on that law, transporting
Yeah.
women across the line and P. Diddy.
Your
They-
boy Diddy,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, that's an
It's-
old law. they
Back
made for
then, it was called the Mann Act. Yeah,
It's still called a Man Act.
and it's basically for prostitution, right?
Right.
Where you're taking prostitutes across state lines for illicit purpose, but they broadened it because of Jack Johnson, and they're using it now for.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
but yeah, he had Jack Johnson was one. Jack Dempsey. I'll even name some celebrities that were pit bull oriented people. Jimmy Stewart, you heard of him?
I don't know Jimmy Stewart.
It's a Wonderful Life.
The actor. It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Ad Walgas was a lightweight champion. There's a picture of Ad Walgas actually handling a pit bull in the box. I don't know if it's a match or a roll.
Okay.
Of course, Livingstone Bramble, his nickname was Pitbull. He had pit bulls. Roy Jones Jr.
Roy Jones, yeah.
Uh,
Hey,
right?
before you go on, hey, if somebody see this out there, I've been trying to contact Roy Jones. Roy Jones, come on the show and do a show with me and Schoolboy. I've been trying.
There
to
you
find
go.
you, bro.
Yeah, if you get it, if you
Come
get
on,
him, I'll get on there with him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come on, Roy.
Yeah, Roy had pit bulls and game fowl too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Still
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, still do.
In fact, I have a. It's a copy of a notification that Don Mayfield put out, and it was copied in Pit Pal magazine, and it has a list of all these people that attended dogfights. Right?
Mhm.
You had John L. Sullivan was heavyweight champion, right? Nancy Bly, who was a famous author. You had clergymen on there. You had gamblers, and you had other sports people. You had politicians. They were all attending this dog fight, right? A convention, and it's a list of about 20 people. If I remember, Joe, or remind me, I'll take a snapshot of it, and you can I'll send it to you. I'll text it to you or whatever.
Right.
But there's been a lot of people involved with the pit bull, either directly or just used to go to the matches because they were popular. It was accepted.
Right.
Nancy, or I think her name's Nancy Bly, but her last name is Bly.
Mhm.
She was a famous author. She actually interviewed John L. Sullivan, but what she's most noted for is she wanted to expose the mental institutions, the cruelty.
Mhm.
So she put herself in a mental institution for like 10 days because she wanted to report on all these atrocities, how they were treated and mistreated and all this stuff. She tried to leave. They wouldn't let her.
Wow.
But her editor or a friend who was up high that knew people went in, and got her out. or else they probably would have kept her there for a long time.
Mm.
But she went in, and that's what changed a lot of what was happening in mental institutions in the United States. How they were mistreated, giving them shock treatment and lobotomies and drugs and all this stuff. She exposed them.
Man,
She used to go to the dog fights too.
really?
Mm.
Yeah.
Anthro says Mr. Gray, Mr. Gray is one of your friends, right? Schoolboy, you do a lot of shows with him, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Mr. Gray said the Gracies had some of his APT blood from the Belling Club in Mexico. Sent
Yeah.
to this
Bayonne
group.
Club. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, we went to it was an old timers get together. There was a lot of old famous pit bull people there. Me and Mr. Gray went too. And some of the guys from Brazil were there too that knew him, and they knew who I was. So
Right.
yeah, some of his blood made his way down there. The
Right.
Bayonne Club was famous pit bull club back in the day. Mr. Gray was part of that club. This is back in the you're talking 80s and 90s.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Any more last questions, man? I'm thinking the chat will start dwindling, but they just staying here.
Nice.
Any more last questions before we get out of here? We'll take them. And also up here is my brother Sykes Pups. He has a podcast over there on the Searcy side of Arkansas.
Yes, sir.
Yep, Oldie Bulldog.
Bulldogs,
Yeah.
oldie bulldogs. We talk American bulldogs, English bulldogs.
Yeah.
We had Jamie Sweet last night talking Shorty Bulls.
Yeah,
So
you done had
yes.
some really good people over there, man.
We're trying. We're trying to make it work.
You said you're from Searcy?
Searcy,
I
Arkansas.
live in
You know what
Searcy.
it
Yeah.
is? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you know this, but there's a very famous pit bull named Searcy Jeff.
Mm.
He's in all the books.
Mm.
So he maybe he was from that area, or they took it from that area. Is that in Arkansas?
It's in Arkansas.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think he was Mac there. Yeah, they called him Searcy J. He's real famous. He's in Richard Stratton books and different periodicals and stories written about him. He's a famous pit bull.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I'm gonna look into it.
I tell
Yeah.
you what.
Yeah.
I tell you what. We up there talking about celebrities involved. I personally know a lot of these guys is in other breeds right now. A lot of them have been on this show. They started with the APBT. A lot of them
Yeah.
have been on this show.
Yeah, some of them that I shared podcasts with, they had pit bulls, and some of them, on my Facebook and Instagram and stuff, they have other breeds, but they had pit bulls too. Some of them still do. Some of them they started with pit bull. Yeah, it's like across the board,
Yeah,
That's the gateway drug. Most
That's-
people.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Like that. Yeah.
Because
Right.
back in the day, you could pick one up for $150. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, guys, I think I'm gonna call it a wrap on this one. But I'm telling you, y'all go get that book. It's a collector's item. I put it like that. It's a collector's item. There's the information you need. It will be in the description. And man, House, you got anything else to say before we go?
I'm good, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. And Schoolboy, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for coming on. Always, Joe. Thanks for having me on. We'll do it
Yes,
again. I'm
Yes,
one
sir.
phone call away. We'll keep in touch, brother.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
Much
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah, no doubt. I always appreciate everything you have done for my channel. And shoot, like I say, guys, go through my channel because Schoolboy has put a lot of work there, and I've done something kind of really unique. I'll get a unique person from this genre, this breed. I got videos with Schoolboy, Vito Alu. Good videos. There was a podcast. It was just so high level. I just had to sit there like this and just listen. You know what I'm saying?
I had a great time, man. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then just, the one thing about it, man, you should be just wanting to just like when you get these caliber of men on, You should just want to be quiet. You shouldn't just want to be just like, it's my show. I won't talk to. I don't want to be heard. Let these men talk, man, while we, while we got them sit here. And Steadfast and Schoolboy was another one. Me and myself and Schoolboy, we done some really good ones. Schoolboy and Bobby Fairchild, legends, all on this channel, y'all. All right, Schoolboy.
Salute. Much appreciated.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Peace.
Peace.